Welcome to Tecmo Tuesday. It is the divisional round, and it's nothing but computer opponents, as same as it was during the wild card week. We are out of it. We being the Browns, as I play as the 2017 Browns in this season of Tecmo. But we see things through to the end. That's how it goes here. And we're going to just go right into it here. The Elite 8, round of 8, and then there were 8. It's an 8-team tournament, and we're starting things off with the Jags, who should have been the AFC champions in the 2017 season, had it not been for ref ball. And the Oakland Raiders, my favorite team personally, always has been, well, since really since Tecmo Super Bowl. It was Tecmo Super Bowl that got me into the Raiders. And, I mean, it was, I've told the story before, but, if for those who haven't heard it, it was mainly, I had all the Boston sports, I live in Massachusetts, all the Boston sports teams were, for basketball, baseball, and hockey, it was always Boston. Like, all my whole family rooted all for Boston teams for the most part. So those are my teams. But for football, it was like every person or like every member of the family liked a different team. So it was like I was caught in this, like, and you're an impressionable kid. You root for the teams that you're kind of told to root for. It's just as contrived as rooting for your home team, really. It's like, what is this based on? The fact that you're there? So, a Boston team all the way through, except for football because of that situation. And there were Patriot fans, of course. There was Jets, Giants, and Raiders. My uncles on both sides of my family were Raider fans. And so I was shuffling through different teams on Tecmo to just decide who I liked to play as. And I picked the Raiders one day because of my uncle. That was my uncle's teams. And there's a touchdown for the Jags on this first drive. And of course, a lot of it having to do with Bo Jackson being on the Raiders in Tecmo. And the mystique of the Raiders, like the silver and black and everything else. Like, it was... all that combined just kind of led me to be in favor of the Raiders. So since those early Tecmo days of 1992, Cordell Patterson is hurt. He's just cord in this game. There aren't enough letters. Since then, I've been a Raiders fan through the thick and through the thin. There's been a lot of ups and downs, mostly downs since that time period, and that was an underthrow to start the Raider drive. Beast mode gets about 5. So here we go, third down. Oh, and that was a good throw under pressure to Crabtree. First down. That was a big conversion there. So, yeah, I have rooting interest in all 4 of these games. Actually, mainly the 3 out of the 4 more than anything. I mean, of course, it's just Tecmo. It's like whatever. I'm not going to lose sleep over the results of these games. But for the sake of keeping things interesting for myself, I am rooting for the Raiders, of course. That was a cheap shot after the touchdown. What the hell? And then I'm going to be rooting heavily against the Patriots and Cowboys, because those are the 2 teams that I despise the most. My AFC nemesis and my NFC nemesis. Or nemesis, whatever, I don't know. So, the Bears and, the Bears and the Panthers are playing in the game that almost means nothing to me. I, couldn't go one way or the other with that one. I'll just enjoy the game. And then the other games that are, I don't think I showed I mean, they did show the AFC side of it, but I didn't show it to the NFC side. The other NFC game is Seahawks and Cowboys. You know, and then the Patriots are playing another team that I am not a fan of, and that's the Denver Broncos. You know, of course, being a big rival of the Raiders. I did, you know, as much as I am not, you know, a Broncos fan by any stretch of the imagination, I did love visiting Colorado, Boulder and Denver. I like Boulder a little bit more, but those are fun places to visit. Red Rocks Amphitheater is by far the coolest music venue I've ever been to. And Fournette is just mowing people down here on this reception to bring it to 1st and goal. Whenever he gets the pitch, and he's going to take it for the end zone. So that is, it's been a lot of fireworks here in this first half. Nothing but touchdowns on all 3 drives. So whoever wins this game, I'm going to be rooting for for this team against whoever comes out of the Broncos and Patriots game. That's for sure. So it'll be interesting from my perspective either way. Yeah, and I mean, I mentioned it at the outset that my team is no longer in the playoffs. So yeah, all 4 of these games, just like the wild card round, all simulations. I'm not playing these games. So, you know, yeah, if you're not interested, you know, please don't bother to continue watching. I'm not going to be playing any of these games personally. And there's the AC/DC connection there. Amari Cooper getting the reception to bring it to, well, not in the red zone, but close to it. And they snuffed that one out. Oh, but he's going to get away and get the completion to Cook, and it's going to be almost a touchdown. I thought they were going to get the sack there. They really don't have to call timeout. There's a minute and a half left. You're going to get all 4 plays or less within the time frame. Just another one of those, like, you know, Tecmo AI things that they don't really think about too much. You can only do so much with the ROM hacks. Although, you know, it was mentioned in the comment that there has been some, and certain ROMs have been altered to, you know, be a little more realistic when it came to some of that shit. And I haven't seen, I think it was the, one thing that I did see in this one was that, in fact, it was in the last week playoff game where, you know, there was, normally, if there's 30 seconds or less in the half, and you're in field goal range, or at least makeable distance, the team will kick the field goal and not risk losing the play, because the time can run out in within 30 seconds. So it's one of those kind of safe bet things. I think it depends on how close you are. Would be when you would, you know, definitely go for it, or just or go for the kick. This is the first punt of the day, although it's really, you know, since it's so close to the end of the half, it's not going to be of any major consequence because, you know, it's going to be going into the second half. I'm going to just try to skip ahead here. Just because, you know, there's 4 games in this... within this this video, you know, it's like, so we're not gonna, you know, want to sit through 4 half times. I like to let it run through and take a breather when I'm playing, but when I'm watching, I don't really, you know, need it. And I'm not, you know, I'm not too worried about the stats either at halftime, especially. Just try to keep it as concise as possible. And here comes the second punt of the day. So, you know, the defense is starting to tighten up a little bit here. Everybody's getting settled in. Oh, and there's Marquette King, my favorite punter, who, you know, didn't stick around for some reason. he was a little showboaty for a punter, you know. It's like, you're a punter, dude. But I liked, you know, I kind of like the swagger that he had, and he was a good punter, and he was a great athlete. I mean, there was a botched snap one time against Jacksonville, in fact, and he fucking took the ball and ran it for like 35 yards. You know, it's like a good little deceptive weapon to have for fake punts. Not that that one was a fake punt, that was a botched punt. But made something out of nothing. And Chris Ivory's gonna get a huge run here. And that is a first down. Bortles got rid of that one just in time, and that one was a close call. I think that was a defender that was on him on that one. These jerseys are a little, when it's, I mean, I'm kind of looking at this from a far enough away angle. The screen's kind of small from, I didn't embiggen it. I couldn't tell, and the colors kind of jive a little bit. So Fournette with a touchdown gives the Jaguars another lead. It's going back and forth. They're not exchanging leads, but they're exchanging touchdowns. It's gone back and forth from being a tie to a Jacksonville lead. So we'll see if the Jags can get another stop here. They'll be in really good shape. It is late third quarter. Beast Mode getting a first down. He's kind of showing a little bit of that. There wasn't a Beastquake type of a moment there, but he was dragging an opponent behind him. And another completion under pressure, and Coop is going to bring that one in for a touchdown. So another score in response to a touchdown. So they score only when the Jags score first. So, you know, if you hold them to a field goal, that's the way to take the lead against these guys. If you hold them to a punt, you're going to punt yourself. Well, the third quarter is going to run on out here on this return. And we will bring it to the final stanza. I mean, well, you know, there could be more. It's a playoffs. Even if it wasn't the playoffs, you know, there would be, you know, of course, potential overtime. Whether it's the playoffs or not, but by the way this game is going, I could very well see a playoff overtime. It's a playoff, of course. It's a playoff overtime as opposed to any other kind of overtime that there would be in the playoffs. Playoffs. Oh, the defenders all missed them, and ends up falling incomplete anyway. But that was definitely a big difference in terms of yardage. Instead of second and like freaking 20. And they blew it up again, so that was the run, and they lost 6. It's like every play is either a run or a play fake, and that pass gets batted down, so it's 4th down. Tie game, about 4 minutes left. Winner goes to the AFC Championship. And that was a nice punt right down to the 5, and nice coverage too down to the 9. That was the backup returner too, you know, with Patterson out. Although I don't know if he was the punt returner. I didn't. Oh shit! Here comes the blitz and beast mode. If that was a play fake, that would have been they would have been fucked. That could have been a safety. They're just trying to get out of dodge, and beast mode is dragging the defender behind him to at least try to get it back to the line of scrimmage. A play fake, he's going to Crabtree, and it is over his head. He threw it too early because that was one of those plays. I think it was like I think that's the one where it's like a stop and go kind of thing, and he threw it too early, and it was during the moment where they stopped him. It wasn't too much pressure. He could have waited a little bit longer. But when you're back in your end zone, it's a different story. You know, you're going to want to get rid of it a lot quicker. So here we go. A big chance for Jacksonville. And the defense is, both sides are starting to tighten up here. Another tackle for loss. Play fake. Bortles steps up, and he makes the throw, and he just overthrows him. Oh my god. Like, through the fingertips. That would have put him into Raider territory, and they'd be in business with under 2 minutes left. Instead, it's a long... And Ivory gets tackled behind the original line of scrimmage, and it is 4th down. And they are going for it? What the hell is going on here? Oh, this Tecmo AI, what the fuck? This is weird. I don't know what it is, because... Yeah, that's a bad pass. It's something about these ROM hacks. They go for it on 4th down in their own territory in a tie game for some reason. It doesn't make any fucking sense. And the Raiders are going to be in business time, and Lynch is going to take it into the end zone. So fucking stupid. I mean, I'm glad that it benefited the team I'm rooting for here, but that is just like no team in their right mind or wrong mind is going to do that. Even Seattle for the Chargers, and his infinite fucking wisdom, wouldn't do something this stupid. So there's still some time. I'm lucky it went out of bounds. So with some time, 39 seconds, there's still some time to send this one to overtime. And now there's even less of it. There's probably, especially if you're going to throw it deep, there's pretty much only time for one play. Pressure got to, and it is a tackle, so they're in territory, but they only have time for one play now. It's 13 seconds left. A lot of pressure, and it's picked. Carl Joseph gets the interception, gets dragged back about 8 yards. That's it. The Raiders win. No thanks to that ridiculous call by the Jaguars to go for it. Hey, you know, all of the only thing I'll say is that all the Tecmo teams, all the computer opponents, computer teams, control teams in this ROM, and various other ROM hacks are this fucking stupid. So I don't know what the hell that's all about, and it's not consistent. I mean, that's the thing. I think that it doesn't matter what team it is, but it does. It doesn't seem to have any kind of pattern or rhyme or reason or any kind of shit. So anyway, it's the NFC divisional playoff. Panthers and Bears. There's a first down for Cam. And did he get enough? No, well, it's only 2nd down. I was always yawning, and then I ended up with like this weird cough just kind of came up. So that's it for that. Oh, well, wait, he still got the ball. He still got a chance to get the first down, and he gets it, and then some. I thought he was throwing that one into the ground. Like, it looked like it was just gonna, like, nothing was happening out of that, but he dumped it off, and nice first down pickup. I was gonna say that 2nd and 1 was like, it's like a really good spot to be in, and McCaffrey's gonna get the touchdown for the Panthers. Yeah, 2nd and 1 is a great spot to be in because, you know, it's like you can easily get the first down within a couple plays. You know, it's like you're right there. It's a great time to like just go for the jugular and throw deep. And, you know, in all, like, bottom line, though, is that, like, in all likelihood, you're going to get the first down. And then you also would get some extra yardage in the process of getting that first down. Like, you're really in a shitty situation, no man's land kind of deal if you, it's 2nd and 1. A lot of times you kind of feel like they just give him that first down on the play that preceded that instead of essentially what kind of amounts to a free first down and some bonus yards. But you know, as I'm about to say that, well, I mean, you know, we're talking about like a possession ago now at this point, but while I was, you know, going to say that when it was 3rd and 1, or 2nd and 1. Oh, and is this Kevin White? Yeah, he's out. What was I gonna say? Yeah, and as I'm saying, like, oh, how great it is to be at 2nd and 1, he gets fucking sacked, and ends up being 3rd and 8, and in the process gets a 1st down out of it. And here I am, just completely glossing over everything on this Bears drive except for the injury up until this touchdown. Trubisky trying to, crazy enough, Mitch Trubisky trying to lead the Bears to the NFC Championship. That's a nice block. Monsters of the Midway, at least, like, you know, attempting to bring that back here in this playoff matchup. And Stewart, again, it looked like he was in no man's land. Look, he was dead to rights. Gets a big 1st down and takes it into Chicago territory. Nice catch, jumping catch that would have potentially landed in the defender's hands. They were standing there behind him, or in front of him. That one was a little more dangerous. But there's no throw the ball away button, you know? It's like you're kind of fucked if you're back there with the ball. That's why I always tried to... Ooh, excuse me. I always tried to, you know, just scramble with the ball and get the fuck out of there if I was in Tecmo, if I'm back there and, you know, all this pressure is coming out. Oh, that was a nice little shovel pass, or it was a handoff. It kind of looked shovel passy, but it does count as a rushing touchdown for Christian McCaffrey, and the Panthers get the lead back. No field goals so far. We are about, you know, a game and a half into this. Well, not quite. We're just into the 2nd quarter. And Trubisky's just running into a brick wall, and there's, you know, hardly anybody else around. He had all this real estate. He decided to just run into his own teammate. Howard's like, yeah, you know, like, I'll run. You take it easy. And this is going to be a touchdown. So once again, another touchdown. It's been nothing but touchdowns so far today. We'll see how long it takes. What's the over and under on when the first field goal or safety takes place? I'm gonna say, just for shits and giggles, that we're not gonna see a field goal until midway through the 4th quarter of this game. No, that's not bold enough of a take. I'm gonna say that we won't see one until the 2nd quarter of next game. That's my bold take for the day. Let's see. Let's try to make it happen. That's like the goal to go, and then if, you know, it goes any further than that, even better. Watch, they're going to get a goddamn field goal on this drive right here, because they're going to get into range. Well, that doesn't help that cause. Yeah, 47 seconds left. I mean, they still have plenty of time to get into striking distance of a field goal. Only like another 25 yards or so. Not that that's easy to convert, but it's definitely doable. And then the field goal is no gimme either from that distance. Oh, but here we go. Benjamin's got the ball. And if they tackle him, which they're not going to do, it would have been an automatic field goal because they would have definitely called the timeout and gone for the kick. So this touchdown saves the whole field goal thing from happening. I don't know why I give a shit about this. To be, for the record, I'm just, fishing for things to further entertain and amuse myself. That's about it. Alright, so we will just press on here. We'll go on to the second half. Not even bother with the stats or any of the pomp and circumstance. Oh, and fumble. And the Bears hang on to it. That right there is huge. They would have given the Panthers excellent field position and already down 7. That would have been a huge disaster for the Bears. And that kind of shit really sucks when you come off of halftime and do something like that. So you had all this time to rest and like strategize and shit, and the first thing you do is fumble the ball over to them and give them a chance to make a 2-score lead. Instead, you keep the ball, and now it's 1st and goal. Like, play later. Oh, this is a nice play by the defense. That was not like a blitz or anything. That was just a good individual effort of grabbing onto the guy and then waiting for the help to arrive. And then you got a blitz. And it doesn't matter. Trubisky threads the needle and finds the open man in the end zone, Marcus Wheaton. Was that the tight end? Was that the, was that the dude taking Kevin White's place? I didn't even see who they subbed in. I think that would have just made it a cooler thing if the backup kind of came off the bench, wasn't expecting to play at all today, and then, he gets an opportunity and then goes out there and scores on a play that's ridiculous like that. You're covered. All this pressure on the quarterback, following the play that was an almost turnover for your team, going all the way back on the other end of the field. Now it's a tied game. The pendulum is crazy in football. It doesn't like it's like that in in a lot of sports, but where like one play can really just change the whole dynamic and the momentum and the complexion of the game. Nothing like a turnover in football, though, to make that whole situation happen. It changes the crowd noise level one way or the other. Either it completely kills them or brings them to life. And if you're trailing and you get a turnover, all of a sudden the crowd's into the game, and now you got some momentum on your side. Feed off of that shit. McCaffrey with a drop. Oof. Those kind of things in the playoffs, too. Those things haunt people for the rest of their fucking lives. None more infamous than the Cowboys Steelers, who were I think that was the second time that they met. 78. Was that drop in the end zone that the Cowboys got a field goal, but you never know what would have happened if that had been a touchdown. Defense is stiffening up here, and they're gonna hold Carolina to the first field goal of the game of the day, and it's good. So there you go. There it was. Ramganau with with 15 seconds left in the third. So here we go. We're going into the last stanza here. Again, with a chance for overtime. So far, I gotta say, at least this week's games, the divisional round games, are definitely more competitive than the wild card ones. Which is, you know, it's a lot of times it's how it goes down, especially, you know, with the extended wild card that they have now. They let 7 teams in instead of 6. You end up with some mismatches, and there's Trubisky shaking off defenders and running for a touchdown. This is how you know that's a video game, that it is fantasy. This is not real life in any fashion. It's so unrealistic it shouldn't even be happening in Tecmo, but 28-24 Bears. The Bears. I'm going to make a prediction here. Panthers are going to score. About 2 minutes left. Go up 31-28. No, it's what they're going to have. They're going to miss the extra point, and it's going to be a 2-point game. Bears are going to drive down. It's going to be a chip shot field goal. Not a chip shot field goal, but a makeable field goal. And then they'll fucking doink it and miss. That's my... you can't do a double doink in this game. It just doesn't exist. But if it could, that's what it would have happened. So the closest thing would be just a straight up doinker. And the Panthers are... You know, they got to get a touchdown. They're down 4. But it is first down. They could get a first down without scoring. It is a micro inch. It seems like that they would be where they would be for them to make that happen. This is almost like hopefully you get like a blitz or something if you're on the defensive side of this. And oh shit, now they're on that like 1 yard line, that like inside the 1. That's borderline a first down right there. Oh, and they just obliterated the offensive line, ran right after the quarterback, but he pitched it to McCaffrey. Perfect timing. So the Bears will have time to drive down and avoid a doinker. The only reason why I predicted the extra point miss is because it would be a field goal to win the game as opposed to a field goal to tie the game, but it would still be just as dramatic of a miss because it costs you the game. It's just so much worse when you miss, and yeah, it's a chance to win. And Miller makes the catch, and we are going to get inside the 10, and he is going to drag guys for an extra 2 yards. Plenty of time. We'll see, though, if they don't score right away, how long they wait to kick it. And instead, they're not going to have to worry about that. They don't have to worry about any kind of doinkage, because Zach Miller just caught the touchdown. And they have now a 35, again, a 4-point lead with the extra point. So Carolina cannot kick any field goals here. Barth just blasted it. So they're going to have time for one play. And they're not going to have great field position. They're way back at the 16. This is it here, folks. They got to get a miracle, Hail Mary type of situation. And they are going to instead pitch it off to McCaffrey. I know it's a nice play and everything, but it's not when you're way back there. And the game is on the line. The playoffs, the whole season is on the line. 35-31, the Bears win. They are going to the big, the NFC Championship. Deion Lewis is back for the Patriots. I don't know if anybody else is hurt, but it's Broncos and Pats. May the worst team lose. I don't root for injuries. I'm not even when it's Broncos and Patriots, so I'm not gonna, root for disaster. Even if it is a microchip and not actual human beings breathing. I'm not that kind of a prick. I get... It's because of the fact that I am... You know, I wouldn't say emotionally invested in this shit, but I like to get into the suspension of disbelief, I guess you could say, and get sucked into the universe of this Tecmo, and I look at these guys as people. Except for Tom Brady, you can do whatever the fuck you want to him, or Gronk. That would have been some shit if Gronk got hurt right there. I would have been like, okay, this is my shitty superpower, the ability to send an idea out to the universe, the Tecmoverse, and cause an injury to somebody. You know, like whenever something crazy like a Murphy's Law kind of thing happens, and you say like, oh, you know, my car's been running great, and then, you know, it's like, oh, don't jinx it, don't jinx it, don't say anything to jinx it. And I say that shit a lot when I'm playing this game, too. You know, the fact that you even think to yourself, like, I could jinx this, means that you have you believe that you have a supernatural ability to change the course of events without actually doing anything about it, without making it, without just saying it sets the course of action in motion. And I mean, if that were the case, I would be trying to do all kinds of jinxing. To those who I want jinxed. Or reverse jinx it. Like, damn, you know, I really haven't been winning the lottery much lately. I don't know, does that count as like a reverse jinx attempt? And that is a first down. That was very close. But that was indeed past the line. So, just while we're here, while, you know, a battle of two teams I utterly despise are playing football, you know, and now's about as good a time as any to bring up the fact that, yeah, once this season is over, just like all the other Tecmo seasons that I've done, I'm going to take a few months off, and that is a touchdown, Emmanuel Sanders. Yeah, I'm going to take a few months off. Still haven't decided what team I'm going to play as next year. It's, you know, it's just, I won't even have that. I won't have that decision by the end of this season either. It'll be sometime during the off season. I'll have some ideas. I mean, feel free to suggest them. I've had a few people leave requests for what team to play as. Remember, I'm focusing on shitty teams. That's why I picked the winless fucking Browns. They are among the worst of all time. And, you know, hey, 8-8 wasn't bad considering that it was them, and it was a considerably more challenging ROM than normal. But aside from the taking off Tecmo Tuesdays, I'm also going to be taking a break from the rest of the weekday shows. So, Mega Man Maker Monday, Throwback Thursday, those are the other two, you know, mainstays that have been happening every week since, I think it was 2021, New Year's Day of 2021, when I started this weekday thing. I'm gonna do it kind of seasonally. It's gonna be run in conjunction with Tecmo, so it's 20 episodes of Tecmo Tuesday per season, with the 16, you know, weeks played plus 4 playoff weeks. Unless it's a pre-1978 season, then it's even less, because you got the, you know, it's only a 14-game season. But I digress. Bottom line is, you know, it'll be all the other weekday shows I'm going to take off. and just recharge the batteries, kind of like, you know, put it into hibernation, and then come back fresh with a new lease on life. I don't know. You know, it's just it's also staleness prevention, something like that. I don't know. Not that I'm you know, running towards the end of my YouTube lifespan or anything like that anytime soon, or at least I don't have any plans for that to happen. At the same time, also, I don't want, when and if, like, I do come across the decision, like, okay, I'm gonna hang it all up, I'm all done with all this. I don't want it to be looked at as, oh, it's because I burnt myself out from doing the weekday shows. You know, it's like, just stick with the Sundays. And it's, I've actually did consider at one point or another, like, okay, you know, do something like this, taking a break from it for an indefinite amount of time. And it kind of is like that, but I do know that I'm gonna come back. It's not a it's just a, you know, a little bit of a hiatus for a little while to, you know, give myself time to work on things. It also makes it so that I can, you know, with the time that I spend on the YouTube channel, putting stuff together, I can put all of it into the Sunday shows. And then that gives me more of a chance to do some of the longer ones, some of the bigger, more, where more time needs to be invested into it and such. And I try, you know, because I've been able to put out content on every Sunday, except unless I'm doing a walkthrough. I give myself a week off prior to that one. But other than that, that's the pattern. It's you know, it's ranking the soundtrack, followed by a 1 week later with an Atari review, and then 2 weeks later a walkthrough, a review walkthrough. And then after every 2 walkthroughs that I do one where it's just a short review. And excuse me, and I do not take that week off. It's just straight into the next one. That's my pattern, in case anybody was wondering, or, you know, for those that give a shit. There's a touchdown for the Patriots, by the way. So 21-14. So this is the 3rd game now. After all 4 of the wild card games were, you know, not really entertaining at all. They were blowouts for the most part. I mean, it was like some games that were pretty close throughout the first half, or, you know, even maybe the first 3 quarters, it was still fairly competitive. But, you know, at the end of the day, those games, even those closer games, fell apart in the 4th quarter, and it really, you never really felt like they were in it. And now, as I say that, if you want to go back and believe in the reverse jinx bullshit, or the jinxing in general, oh, this is the 4th quarter. No, that was the 2nd quarter. What the hell am I saying? Alright, for some reason, it was because I saw all those zeros, I was thinking, like, oh, that was the end of the fucking game. No, that was the end of the first half. Well, that changed, that changed what I was about to say. I thought that was going to lead to a score for the Patriots and go up 2 scores. Now, Denver gets the ball right back. So that's one of those turnovers that almost doesn't count. Like a Hail Mary at the end of a half kind of a deal. Not that that's what that was, but essentially it's what it was, because you lose the ball and then it doesn't matter. So Broncos get a reprieve here. They get another chance. It's funny, too, that the Broncos were still good here. The 2017 was the first year... No, 2016 was the first post-Peyton Manning year, and that was kind of like the beginning of the end for the Broncos. Since then, they have not made the playoffs since that Super Bowl. But they're in the playoffs here, and they're competing with the Pats, who, you know, went on to the Super Bowl in this season. But they're punting it off to the Pats and booting it to the back of the end zone, so overshot that a little bit. Although, I mean, sometimes it really is discouraging when you punt. You know, you get it inside the 10, and the coverage team doesn't get down there, and they take the ball outside the 20. And it's like, God damn it, like that. What a waste of a good punt that was. That's why it's a team game. In a lot of ways. At least it used to be. It used to be more there used to be way more balance in the game. You know, quarterback was always important, always a very important part of the team, but now it's like it's all you fucking need to be good, to at least be great. I mean, it's like, I mean, Patrick Mahomes had no receivers that were making any catches, and it still didn't matter. He's one of the elite quarterbacks. He's good. They're going to be there every year. The fucking Ravens, more or less, will be there every year. Say what you will about Lamar Jackson. Oh, shit, and a fumble. Did that go out of bounds? So, Von Miller picks it up. It went out of bounds. It threw the end zone. But it didn't matter. Wow. Okay. And also, it was why the Patriots were there all the fucking time. It was, you know, and it almost, you know, people like to say, like, oh, you know, it's a lot more difficult nowadays to keep a team good for a long period of time in the salary cap era. And it's like, I mean, it's never easy to get the team built, but hanging on to the good team, as long as you have your quarterback, that goes such a long way. That, you know, it's like you can shuffle the rest of your parts in and out. The defense doesn't really fucking matter all that much anymore. It's good to have, but you're not gonna win with your defense carrying your team. And you can win Super Bowls with shitty defenses. You cannot win in Super Bowls with shitty offenses or shitty quarterback play. Or, like, you know, mediocre at best. You know, it's like you have to be at... If you have a quarterback that's, like, in the upper part of the mid-tier, you can win, but you have to have a really strong defense like the Broncos did shortly before this time when Peyton won, because he was way at the end of his rope there. So, you know, going back to the salary cap thing, it's like, okay, yeah, you know, it's more turnover, player, you know, in and out, players, revolving door of players, you can try to hang on to. But if you have your fucking quarterback, that's such a huge part of it right there. Tough thing is finding the guy. You know, you need to have good coaching. That always helps. But in a lot of ways, it was more difficult before because you had to build that team from scratch, and it did require more good players on various positions, and the talent pool wasn't so split, it wasn't so spread thin with because of so many fucking teams. And a lot of positions are more expendable than others than they used to be. Like the running back, for example. It used to be the MVP of the fucking league. Now it's like, whatever. Just get a good offensive line. Your running back is fine. So Brandon Cooks with a touchdown here gives the Patriots an extension of well, not an extension of their lead. They re-established their lead. So no matter which team wins this game, it will be an interesting matchup. You know, you either have the old division rivals of the Raiders and Broncos, or you have Raiders and Pats, which is more of a it wasn't really a rivalry for very long. You know, like it was. There's some controversial playoff history with those two teams from different eras. There's also playoff controversy history with the Broncos and Raiders. Because there was the Raiders were ripped off against both of these teams in various AFC playoff games. There was the Lido fumble that should have been a fumble in the AFC title game of 77. Broncos won in They fumbled it. Two different fumbles. There was 2 fumbles that never were called fumbles. One was for the Broncos, and of course that was the one I was just talking about. And then of course the tuck rule later on. That, you know, probably took a couple years off my life. Just being stressed out about that. But this is a touchdown here, and the Broncos are going to possibly, very likely here, put this game into overtime. Go for 2. Just go for 2. I know there is no going for 2 in this ROM. It's just like I would like to see. I would just like to move on from this game. It would be nice to see a Brady pick. Oh my god, I thought it was going to happen right there. I'm like, okay, maybe I do have some kind of a weird superpower, and it's the worst superpower of all time. Being able to conjure up results in Tecmo Super Bowl. The ROM hacks. Alright, so it is overtime, and of course the Patriots with the double-headed coin win the coin toss. Speaking of coin toss, it was, oh god, what was it? Jerry Markbright, who was a referee back in the 80s. They're onside kicking in overtime? What the fuck? They went for the surprise onside kick, and Tom Brady picked it up. What was the point of that? I mean, is Sean Payton, freaking refereeing? Is he coaching these Broncos here in the dim and distant past? Well, they paid for it, because Lewis is who just came off of injury, takes it into the end zone and wins the game. I think that was, I mean, you could say what you want about the whole, like, you know, they were going for a surprise onside kick. You cannot, there's no likelihood of recovering an onside kick in Tecmo. They kick us an onside kick in overtime, like, you're just giving them the win, essentially what happened. So, that was fucking weird. Both AFC playoff games were decided by dumbassery. But anyway, we're moving on to the NFC divisional game. Anyway, it was Jerry Markbright, the referee. It was the Broncos and Giants Super Bowl in Super Bowl 21. And he was the referee for that game, and he joked to his wife, you know, weeks before the game, that he was gonna fuck up saying toss of the coin, and he was gonna say toss of the coin. He just jokingly said it to her, like, oh yeah, watch me fuck that up. And then it became he really started to think, oh shit, like, I'm gonna fuck this up, aren't I? And it became an obsession. Like, he was thinking about it and stressing out about that for weeks, and he, like, you know, like, that was the big thing that he was nervous about, not so much refereeing the biggest game of the year in front of the world. It was saying toss of the coin. So we got out there for the coin toss, and he said it perfectly. And then after that, he was like, okay, I'm good. He was not nervous about anything else the rest of the game. According to him, you know, like, that was his story. So, who will we see taking on the Bears? Will it be another old school NFC team with a storied playoff history in the Cowboys? Or will it be the Seahawks? We'll find out. But there's a lot of, in the 21st century, playoff history here between these two teams. Of course, is the infamous Tony Romo fumble on the field goal attempt to take the lead late. I think it was less than 2 minutes. I think it was like a minute 10, and they were down 2. They were down 2 points, and they lined up for a field goal. It was a chip shot, and Romo botched the snap, picked it up, started running with it, and I thought, oh shit, he's gonna run this for a touchdown. But that's not what happened. He got tackled short, and that was the end of that. I'm not sure if that was the last Parcells playoff game or not. Last Parcells season. I really don't know if that was if he had another year after that or not. I was gonna say another pick. I was gonna say there's a lot of defensive plays being made here. Jason Witten. It's crazy how many of these names that we're seeing here, and for 2017, which doesn't seem like that long ago, there's so many of these guys that are no longer playing football. I mean, you know, yeah, Dak Prescott was playing. This was his second year, I think, something like that. But I mean, there's so many guys missing. I mean, take it into for context. I mean, I think it's just because of how. I mean, that was 7 years ago now, 2017. But it does not feel like it. 2017 feels like it was just, you know, like if when I remember something that happened in 2017, it feels like it could have just been 3 or 4 years ago. It's all a big fucking blur. But in '91, when Tecmo Super Bowl was out, you know, you go back 7 years prior to that, it's 1984. You know, 91 and 84. If you were around in those days, and if you're, you know, in my age bracket, you would think like, oh yeah, the difference between those years was insane. 81, 84, and 91. That's a lifetime of difference. Because for me, I was 8 years old in 91. I was 1 in 84. I do not remember a goddamn thing about 1984. And I'm not talking about the Van Halen album. And I'm not talking about the novel. And I'm not talking about anything of any kind of real importance here. I've turned these CPU games, especially these ones where I'm recording late at night, into just random psychobabble. I am rambling on about the most random, ridiculous shit in these games, especially the later games. Because yeah, I am when this is over, I am going to fucking bed. I'm ready to go to bed. And that's exactly what's gonna happen when this is all said and done. So I'm also, not rooting for overtime here, and and now the Seahawks are gonna get the ball here, and quite possibly tie up the game and keep that possibility as strong as ever. Like I said though, it's been nice to see. Even though, like I said, I am pretty fucking tired and I'm ready to hit the sack here, but it is still nice to see. Oh, that is a Marshawn Lynch style. Look at that, he's dragging him to the crowd. Thomas Rawls with the score here to tie up the game, or pending the extra point. I'm glad to see that these games are much more competitive than than last week's. And you would think, that the wild card games would have more. I mean, I guess there's, different schools of thought, but the reason why you would think that the wild card games would be more competitive than divisional round games is because that's where the divisional round is where the teams with the bye are sitting there waiting for the previous week's winner, who is coming off of a game themselves, beating the shit out of each other. possibly an overtime game, and then the fresh divisional team comes out, and it turns out, nope, that's a competitive-ass game. A lot of people think it's like the best weekend of sport of the NFL season, the divisional round. And yeah, definitely a lot of the best games ever played were in the divisional round and in the conference championships. Wild cards, you know, it's like there seems to be more history of crazy shit. Like the big Bills comeback. All right, let's move on to the second half here. But then again, you know, like the Minneapolis Miracle, that was a divisional round game. That was one of the strangest fucking things I've ever seen. That happened in this 2017 season. So, maybe we'll see something like that in this game. Maybe we'll see the Tecmo equivalent of that. I mean, we've seen some crazy shit in Tecmo. Tecmo is no shortage of bizarre fucking happenings. You know, for good, bad, or indifferent. Those things happen. That was a nice catch by Wynn. For a second, I thought we were getting towards the end of the first half. I, just fucking skipped the halftime show a minute ago. Oh, he went for it all. He had... Well, I was going to say, he had a receiver short, but there was a defender kind of close by. He could have closed in on him. Zeke picks up a few. Every single run is Ezekiel Elliott. That's a good way to get your running back injured. And that is a first down. You know, I was just thinking about how fun... Yeah, because during that run, I was thinking, oh, that's a great way to get your running back injured. And then I was thinking, oh, shit, what if he gets hurt on this play? Is it going to be one of those jinx things? And then they cut to the scene of the measurement. And then that made me think, I don't know if it can even happen where the runner will get injured after that sequence, or is it impossible? Is it like they'll just do away and cancel out the cutscene of the measurement and just go straight to the injury, and it kind of like nullifies it? Or will there actually could it actually happen where, and that field goal is good, it's doinked in. So I did get a doink today. Could there be a cutscene where you see the runner standing over the football and watching the ref make the measurement, and then next cutscene he's down on the ground and injured? I'm almost certain that that's never happened, and it can't happen. I want to say that in the event of I don't think the injuries are prevented from happening during those cutscenes. Or an instance where that cutscene would happen. I think that the injury overtakes the cutscene from even happening. Overtakes the measurement cutscene from even happening. So that's my theory. I don't know at all what the hell I'm talking about. There might even be the microscopic possibility of that happening. I mean, I've seen shit for the first time in Tecmo in some of these games. Although, again, it's the ROM hack. There's some shit that I think only happens exclusively in the ROM hack. Like the fourth down, going for it during a tie game in your own territory. I mean, that's a touchdown there for the Seahawks. And they take the lead. PAT is good. It is 17-13, and we are about to enter the fourth quarter here after this kickoff. So here we go. The last quarter again, though. We could see overtime. So, and if we do, will we see an onside kick to start it off? I can't get over that fucking decision. That's an example right there. Like the first time seeing some certain shit, like a fucking onside kick to start overtime. You know, back in the day of when field goals would win you the game on the first possession of overtime, that wouldn't be a bad idea to go for the surprise onside. It depends on the situation. You know, if they have a really good offense and if they've been, tearing you apart all game, and maybe you spotted in your film study that their specialty, that their kickoff returns, they have a tendency to retreat early. Then you go for it. Then onside kicking is going to be different though with the rule change this upcoming NFL season. With they're changing where you line up your coverage team instead of running. It's like the XFL. If anybody saw it, it's like the guys are gonna line up across from each other at the point of the return. And an onside kick is just not on kickoff formation is not going to be a thing. And also, what's not going to be a thing is I was going to say a Cowboys win if he would have ran it in for that touchdown. But there's still time to hold them to 3, maybe get a turnover and then do something with it. But instead, Raul's going to run it in, and that's going to probably be the nail in the camel. Seahawks are going to take this one, and it'll be a Seattle-Chicago NFC Championship. And so, I mean, they're not getting rid of onsides entirely. You just have to let the opponent know. And then they line up. It's like instead of going, same thing as like going for 2, you have to declare what your intentions are. And then you line up in a different fashion. It's mainly for injury purposes. The return game has a lot of bad collisions, and a lot of the injuries that they're trying to prevent take place during those returns. The one thing I don't have a big problem with, especially since the way they butchered the onside kick rule, where now you can't have, and for a while it's been that way. It's like you can't run prior to the kick, and you can only have so many guys on each side of the line. You can't throw them all on one side, so the likelihood of recovering an onside kick is extremely low. It's way lower than it ever been. It was way back in the day. So if it's gonna be so impossible to recover them anyway, why not change the goddamn method of onside kick? I remember somebody made the proposition that what you do is, instead of kicking an onside kick, you basically get a 4th and 15 play that you can run an untimed down from the spot of the kickoff. And if you pick up that 4th down, then you get to keep the ball. If not, then the ball is taken from the spot of wherever the dead ball is. Speaking of onside kick, here's an onsider, and it seems like the quarterbacks love to recover these fumbles. Brady had one earlier in that overtime surprise onside attempt, and then here Wilson got it. So this one was, it was close, and Seattle took control of it toward the end. It was a garbage time, kind of a garbage time-ish touchdown for the Cowboys. They did have a chance to recover an onsider, but it was all for naught. So that concludes this divisional round. Let's take a quick look here at the what we got here for matchups. We got, of course, the Patriots and Raiders. I've said enough about that particular matchup. That will be quite the game. And then Bears and Seahawks over on the NFC side of things. Whoever wins that NFC game, it doesn't really matter to me too much. I would say I would like to see, if the Raiders lose, I would like to see Seahawks and Patriots, because then you'd have, this in this Tecmo verse, it would be a few years after the friggin' debacle, the abomination of the Seahawks, the Marshawn, not Marshawn Lynch. It was the Marshawn Lynch non-run that ended up leading to the, the Butler interception. Absolute worst call of all time. Worst, play call of all time. Worst decision made. There's so many things wrong with that fucking play. Aside from, if you're gonna throw it, which they shouldn't have to begin with, why throw the most dangerous fucking pass in the end zone that you possibly can? So stupid. Anyway, that's been done to death. I don't even want to talk about it. I want to go to bed. So why am I bringing up these bad memories? But anyway, that's going to be next week's games, the conference title games. Only 3 left. There'll be the conference championships, and then the week after, the season finale will be the Super Bowl. And, then it'll be a break after that. There'll be a period of no football. And it'll, preseason will be going on in real life then. So if you want to watch some football, watch some real football. So anyway, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching. See you next time.